Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm so excited that you've decided to spend part of your day today learning about the MBALaunch program. Super excited to do a little bit of a deeper dive into the curriculum of the program today. Before we get started, I'm going to spend just a couple minutes talking about Forté. So if you're relatively new to the organization, great chance for me to tell you a little bit about the work that we do. I'm also going to tell you a little bit about the amazing team that I get to work with. So my name is Ashley. I'm the director of pre-MBA programs here at Forté. I get to oversee all of the programs that we offer for candidates like yourself that are on the journey to an MBA. I work with two amazing coworkers on this team, Sarah, who is here running this webinar today. So she'll be here in case you all have any questions. And then my colleague, Melissa, as well, who's also a program manager for our early career team. If you have any questions as we go through today, you can type those in the Q&A. I'd recommend typing in the Q&A just so that they're easy for us to keep track of. If you type them in the chat, we'll probably remind you to put them in the Q&A, but Sarah's going to be dropping some links in the chat as we go through. So we're going to try to keep that there so everybody can follow along in the chat. If you're relatively new to Forté, we're here to change the balance of power in the workplace, helping make career dreams and aspirations a reality for more women. We've been around for about 20 years. We are now a network of over 100,000 women, including companies. So we work with amazing corporate partners as well as partner business schools, amazing women like yourself that make up this supportive community to really help women achieve their goals. Also, more specifically, help make the MBA a reality for more women. So we do that through programming like our MBALaunch program, also through a couple other programs that I'll mention here in just a moment. We also work with schools to make the MBA a financial reality for more women, which I'll touch on here in a little bit. But ultimately about helping you achieve that goal. 20 years ago, if you're a woman in business school, you were probably in a class where maybe only 25% of the class was women. Today, among our partner schools, that percent is more like 40% women in the classrooms. We've made huge strides over the last 20 years, but obviously women's representation in the C-suite and executive levels still has a lot of work to go. So excited about the next chapter here at Forté. But a little bit closer to home, your journey with Forté is not just one time. We hope this is a continuation. We like to kind of say Forté for life. Many of our participants come in, they do an event with us, they might do a program with us, and then they'll continue while they're in business school, working with a partner business school, hopefully, potentially one day working for a corporate partner. And ultimately, because we are a nonprofit, we are reliant on amazing donors like alumni and things of that nature. So certainly hope you consider as you go through this program, giving back to Forté. I did mention we work with a variety of business schools. So we do work with over 60 full-time MBA partner programs in the US, Canada, the UK, and Europe. So depending on where you're looking, we work with a huge variety of programs, which I think is a huge advantage to the work that we do because we do work with such a diverse range of programs that serve all different industries in all different parts of the world. Also, if you're not looking at full-time, we do also work with about 35 executive and professional programs. So if you want to keep working while you do an MBA, we definitely have partners that are going to help you on that journey as well. A couple other programs I want to mention quickly. If you are in the Atlanta area or if you are interested in being in the Atlanta area in 2 weeks, we'd love to see you at our Diversity Day. This is an opportunity to expand the conversation around DE&I in business school. This is a free event to attend. It's a great way to connect with other interested students and then also, of course, with our partner business school. So that event is taking place in 2 weeks in Atlanta, Georgia. We'd love to see you there. If you're interested in more webinars, we do a whole series on prep for the MBA. So these are all free webinars to attend. Next week, there's a great one kind of if you feel like you're non-traditional, we'll talk a little bit about applying to as a non-traditional candidate. But what you're all here to hear about today is about our MBA launch program. So I first want to start by mentioning that we offer launch in a couple different flavors, if you will. So the one we're going to talk about today is our cohort program. This is an 8-month synchronous program that we offer. But I do want to mention that we also offer an on-demand version of this program. Enrollment for that opens in the spring. And then if you happen to be a current undergraduate student, so if you've not yet graduated from undergrad, you are going to check out our MBALaunch for Undergrads program, and enrollment for that program is open now. But hopefully you're here to learn about the live program, because that's the one I'm going to talk about. So the live cohort, as I mentioned, is an 8-month prep program. The idea is we're going to cover everything you need to know about the application process. So we're going to help you really prepare your best application to business school. We're going to provide a high level of accountability as you go through the program and a very supportive community. I mentioned that it is 8 months, so there is a commitment of your time and effort into this program, but you do it with this amazing supportive community. I also want to talk about what application prep really means. We want you to build your best application to business school. And I mentioned we work with a really diverse range of business schools, diverse in location, diverse in their offerings. And that's great because we welcome the diversity that our participants bring to this program. And so application prep for us is a very authentic process. And what I mean by that is as we're going through the curriculum, we're going to give you very diverse perspectives on how to approach different components of the application. We're going to give you lots of insights from a variety of different sources. But ultimately, this is about telling your authentic story in the application process. We are not here to make you look like cookie cutter MBA applications. We are here to help you tell your authentic story and to find a business school that's going to be a great fit for you, a great match for you. Rather than you trying to fit the business school mold, this is about ultimately finding a fit that's right for who you are authentically. So I'm going to go through a little bit about the curriculum, give you an idea. These are kind of the pillars of the curriculum, and this is also somewhat the order in which we go through these items. So we start with that authentic storytelling piece. So who are you? Why are you here? What do you want out of an MBA experience? So that self-reflection piece, again, really deep dive on who you are. We then hear kind of the admissions inside of things. So from an admissions perspective, all the things you need to know. Then we walk through the actual components of the application to make sure you have a strong application. And then kind of simultaneously, I would say, we make sure you're thinking about financing your MBA and then test prep as well. So I'll get to a little bit of that as well. As far as who delivers this content, my team and I have about 30 years of experience. You're going to be hearing from us a lot, but you're also going to be hearing from experts. So admissions consultants and admissions firms that also do this as a business. These are great to hear from because many of their staff have worked at a variety of different business schools, and you're going to get very different opinions on how to approach this process. So this is nice because it gives you a great menu of opinions to choose from and a lot of different ways to approach the process. So we try to come at specific topics in multiple angles. And so you really have a great way to hear from different perspectives. And again, what resonates with you. We have a really diverse cohort. So sometimes you'll hear something and you're like, hey, you know what? That's not my vibe, right? And we understand that. We're going to approach it from another topic as well. Cool. The other people you're going to hear from a lot are partner business schools. So a huge piece of what we're bringing to you is actual insight from partner business schools. This is, as you might say, from the horse's mouth. So the best way to learn about admissions at a program is to hear about it from the program. So these partner schools are going to come and talk about not only their experiences, but really authentically from that business school admissions perspective. So as I said, when we kick off the curriculum, the first thing we're going to ask you to talk about is yourself. And we're going to ask you kind of why you're here, why you're thinking about an MBA. Some of you maybe have already given this a whole lot of thought, and some of you this might be a little more like on a whim. That's okay. Wherever you are in this process, we'll meet you. So this is kind of an overview of some of the topics that we're going to cover. Some of these are straight titles of content that we're going to go through. So like, again, this authenticity piece, your unique story, understanding really what brought you to this journey. The other thing that we're going to do really early in the first month of the program is a personal branding session. So this is a half-day workshop that you're going to do. It's live. We offer a couple different time options depending on where you are in the world to actually spend time working on your story and specifically what your personal brand is. And the reason we do this is you ultimately, in some ways, are selling your story through the application process. And you have to talk about yourself all the time when you're applying to business school. So it isn't just about the end game of hitting submit on an application, but you're going to be talking to admissions reps. You're going to be networking with alumni. You're going to be talking to friends and family about your journey to a business school. So how do you do that in a really compelling way to share and to really sell the idea of you getting an MBA? So the first thing you're going to do in that personal branding session is really discover who you are and discover your personal brand. What are your values? What's your purpose? How do you provide value to an organization, right? How do you provide value to a situation? And also, what kind of person do you want to become, right? Next, you're really going to define what the message is that you want to give. Okay, so what are some of the top attributes of you, the brand you, right? What do you do best? Then we're going to help you understand how to deliver that message in a compelling way, whether you're talking to your boss or an admissions rep. So this is what you would use every day. And this is what a lot of launchers tell us, like this is whether or not you get an MBA, this is a absolutely value add. This happens when you do an interview. This happens when you're talking to admissions. Really, the ability for you to write your story. What are the sound bites that you would actually be able to use as you're going through the program and talking about yourself? Okay. So that's kind of one of the things you'll do early on. Then we'll dive into kind of admissions insights, right? And this is where I was saying you're going to hear from people that have worked on admissions committees, alumni. You're hearing active admissions committee members talk about this. And this is everything you need to know from an admissions perspective, from school selection to kind of common pitfalls they see in an application, how to decide which round to apply in, how to talk about your career goals authentically, that sort of thing. The other piece we're going to do, so I mentioned first month, you'll have that personal branding session. During probably the second month in the program, you'll do an admissions symposium. And this is another half-day program. We do this both virtually and in person. So these will take place in about 10 cities. So we do a variety of big cities in the US, plus Toronto in Canada and London in the UK. And these are an opportunity where we actually connect with other launchers that live in the same area that are traveling to that area. And that half-day program has a couple of key things. So huge piece is actually meeting people in person. So if you're able to, we encourage you to attend these in person. We also do an admissions insight panel. So you actually hear from admissions reps. We do a hot topics roundtable. So we talk about kind of all the important things in an application, as well as kind of the important things to consider that aren't necessarily related to the application. So things like your career outcomes, how to talk about career outcomes. Also, we talk about things like financing your MBA. We do alumni insights. There's also a keynote, which is wonderful. So it's a chance for you to hear from a launcher who's gone to business school, who is back to talk about their experience. And these half-day programs, as I said, take place in a variety of different in-person locations and then also virtually as well. So it's another half-day program that you'll do. Again, a super valuable experience. It's also a great way to see one of our partner business schools. So typically these take place at a partner business school. So it's a chance for you to actually be on campus, see some students. Sometimes it's nice to pair that with a campus visit. And again, you'll get to meet each other as you go through this program. The other piece that we do kind of about admissions insight is around school choice. And this is something that Sarah and I talk a lot about, since we both have worked in admissions for over 10 years, is helping you understand what are the different pieces that go into school choice and what's important to you. So we kind of survey the class every year, figure out what people are interested in, and then Sarah and I actually go through each of these and talk about what that means. So when we talk about rankings, because we know that's an important one when it comes to school choice, we actually talk about what that means. We break down, okay, what is USA, US News and World Report, what does that ranking mean versus Financial Times? What are the factors that they consider? How is it weighted? Try to cut through the headlines that you might be seeing and really talk more about the actual implications of that on school choice. So we go through that, and this is a topic we go over many times. Sarah and I could do a kickoff session. We also do what we do kind of these lookalikes. So, hey, I'm interested in this school. Help me pick other schools that are similar for these various reasons, right? And then Sarah and I, of course, and Melissa do individual advising. So we'll advise you on your school selection, your school choices, help you really build a target school list as well. The other kind of big piece is all the components of the application. And this is one where hearing a lot of different opinions is going to be very helpful for you, because you might identify with, one or the other. So this is everything from academics, the GMAT, essays, interviews, letters of recommendation, the actual application form. We do a demo of a resume review. So this is all the pieces of the application, and how do you ensure that you're submitting strong components for all of these pieces, right? So really helping you understand how they're evaluated in the application process, and then how you can put forth really strong components as you go through that process. So this is delivered a lot by schools. It's delivered by us, and it's said by admissions consulting partners as well, that see thousands, sometimes even more than a school would, thousands of submissions. So they are really great experts to help deliver this content as well. Great. The next piece that we talk about extensively in the program is financing your MBA. So we talk about how to negotiate scholarship. We talk about how to budget. We have an amazing partnership with an organization called Juno. We talk through loan options. Another thing we talk about is how to start thinking about financing now so you make smart decisions so that when you're in business school, you are thanking your past self for some of the choices you've made. So we always kind of say you need to start living like a student now, so that when you are a student, you are a little more secure in where you're going forward. So all these actions are kind of included in that financing piece. The last component of content that we go through is test prep. So I want to pause and talk a little bit about the test as it relates to the MBALaunch program. So if you are applying to the MBALaunch program, it is not required that you have taken a standardized test. So if you have taken it, great, pat yourself on the back, you're great. If you have not yet taken a standardized exam, that's totally fine. We will provide timeline, test prep, and some discounts. And then you will need to take the test by July 2025. So by July 2025, you're going to need to have sat for an official exam to complete the requirement for the launch program. We do not share that with anybody, but it's a big piece of the application, so we want to make sure you get there. So as I mentioned, if you are looking for test prep, there's a lot of different things that we provide, helping you build a timeline to prepare for the exam, give you discounts, help you know, do I need to retest? We provide you with, if you want to match up with other people that are taking the GMAT and form a study group. The other piece is discounts from our two test prep partners. So Manhattan Prep is one of the partners we work with. We actually build launch exclusive courses where there's a significant discount. So I would say if you're interested in a test prep class, then launch, it's a great way. Easy ROI is the discount from test class alone will pay for the program. The other piece is we will provide a timeline in which you need to complete certain components. So a timeline to take some practice exams, a timeline to actually register for the exam. And then, as I said, that accountability piece is important. So making sure you take an official test by July. Does not mean you'll be done testing by July, but you'll need to have taken an official test by July. So a couple things, kind of overview of the cohort, because I think there might have been a question about the duration of the program or completion of the program. So there is a $35 application fee, but there is a discount for y'all being here today. So Sarah is going to drop a link in the chat, or sorry, drop the discount in the chat. So make sure you enter that discount code to save $20 on your application. You can't, if you submit without the code, poof. So don't forget to submit the code when you submit the application. If you're offered a seat in the cohort, there is a $675 non-refundable enrollment fee. Program begins on February 4th. Everybody starts together. So if you apply now and you're enrolled now, you do get access to some of those discounts I mentioned and some recorded content. So if you're already chomping at the bit to get on some of this, the earlier you apply, the earlier you can find out a decision. The program is 8 months and will conclude in September of 2025. Should you successfully complete the program, about 50 now, I think, of our partner schools offer fee waivers to candidates who complete this program. So you would get fee waivers for applications for next application cycle. So that would be the applications for fall 2025, spring 2026. That is to enroll in a program in fall of 26. So that is matriculation in fall of 2026. So you would need to be applying next year for that, for the fee waivers. I saw a couple questions come through about the cohort. Typically have anywhere between 600 and 650 candidates in this program. You can complete the program from anywhere in the world. They will say most of the candidates who complete this program are located in the US. Probably about 80% are residing in the United States. So we welcome candidates from any citizenship. This is just kind of averages. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have that background, or I'm not average, that's totally fine. Huge range on this. So I will say you can be pursuing any format of MBA. You can have studied anything as an undergraduate student. You can work anywhere. You can or cannot have taken the test, right? So this is just to give you an idea that it is a very diverse cohort, and we welcome that diversity as well. For the actual application to launch, I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, but I'm also going to make a plug that Sarah has a session next week. Pretty sure it's pretty confident it's next week. That is an overview of the application. So she'll do a 30-minute session next week before the deadline of nitty-gritty on these application components, but I'm going to run through them just kind of quickly here. You're going to tell us your MBA goals. And what I mean by that is you're going to tell me what type of MBA you think you're interested in and when you think you'd like to matriculate. You'll give us some contact information and your background. So things like your email, your phone number, and simple stuff like that. You'll also tell us where you went to school, what you majored in. You're going to give us your GPA. It is not here for an evaluative purpose, but it is there so that we can understand, if there's a lot of people that might be concerned about their GPA, maybe we'll add some content in about that. You'll also tell us where you work. We're not going to contact your employer. We're not going to tell anybody. You are going to link us to your resume as well as your LinkedIn. And your LinkedIn is not your resume. So when I want your resume, I do want it linked to an actual document that tells me about your work history and your education. If you have a resume that you've used for like job applications, great. Additionally, there is a essay. There's a required essay. You can either do written or video. So it's 500 words or less, 3 minutes or less essay. The prompt is why you want an MBA, why you're interested in MBALaunch, and how you identify with the mission of Forté. So pretty straightforward. It is, think of it more of as a personal statement, not like essay, I need flowery language essay. So a personal statement, either written or verbal as well. The next deadline for launch is the end of the month, October 27th, which is a Sunday. Should you apply by October 27th, you'll hear back from us by November 5th, and then you would have a deadline to enroll by November 15th. If for whatever reason you decide, you know what, I want to wait until December for work reasons, that's $675, I want to wait until the end of the year to pay that, you can apply later. As I mentioned, the reason why earlier is better is because you have more time to have access to some of those resources, you have more time to prepare, but there are still seats in the class for that January deadline. Everyone, though, regardless of when you apply, will start together on February 4th. The other piece I will mention is the application process is not meant to be restrictive. So it is not a selective admissions process in that we are limiting the number of people that can be in the cohort. However, we want to ensure that there is a match in what you are looking for in an experience and what we are offering through the launch program. So what I mean by that is I want to make sure that the launch program is going to fit what you are hoping to get out of a prep program. So that is why that I want to just clarify that. Sometimes, candidates ask about the admission rate for the program, and it's usually over 90%. So the vast majority of candidates that apply for launch are going to be offered a seat in the cohort. So just a reminder that next upcoming deadline is October 27th. And so Sarah will be doing a little application overview next week if you have any last minute questions before that deadline. I know Sarah's been dropping some links in the chat. I do have a couple minutes for questions. So I know Sarah's been knocking them out there in the chat. So I am going to take some questions. Great. There was a question here about the program begins in February. Can we still get the discount for test prep? So great question. The general discount for test prep will become available to you when you enroll. So there is a general Manhattan prep discount. If you wanted to take a class this fall, there is a general Manhattan prep discount. So I'd recommend the earlier you apply, earlier you get access to that discount, for example. The launch exclusive classes for Manhattan prep, typically we start those in January. But again, if you enroll earlier, you get access to that earlier. Same thing with Target Test Prep. Yep, we work with Target Test Prep too. So there is a discount for that. It's a special price for a whole year for Target Test Prep. There's a question about if you're currently laid off. First of all, apologies. That's no fun. Will that negatively impact your application? We totally understand that life is happening while you're going through this process. So thank you for asking. Not an issue. What I would recommend is obviously if it's updated on LinkedIn, we'll see that, right? And then the other thing is you are welcome. You don't have to, but there is a section of the application that is, it's number 5 on here, additional information. There is an option for an optional essay. So if you wanted to mention that you just got laid off and you're looking for a job, great. We do require that candidates are working to apply to the program, but what I mean by that is that you are working versus being a student. So if you're, for example, right now, if you're in a full-time master's program, you'd really want to reach out to us to see if this is going to be the right fit for you. But if you just got laid off or you're looking for work, whatever that might be, you're absolutely welcome to apply. That is not an issue. There was a question about cost. The program, there is a application fee of $35, but make sure you use the discount to make it $15. And then the enrollment fee is $675. It is a non-refundable program fee. But as I mentioned, there's some great discounts that you get. And then upon completion of the program, you do get fee waivers to over, I think it's about 50 of our partner schools now give a fee waiver to candidates who complete this program. One thing we didn't touch on, as I was going through all the different types of content that we deliver, typically those are done on a webinar on Tuesday. So kind of like this, except on a Tuesday. We do webinars. Webinars are delivered weekly. So every week there will be a webinar. We highly encourage you, if you're able to attend those live. So you can chime in live to attend those sessions, right? All these curriculum sessions. If you're not able to attend live, you can watch the recording. They're all recorded. Typically, webinars are delivered either at noon Eastern. So some weeks it'll be noon Eastern. Some weeks it'll be 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So if you immediately are like, I live on the other side of the world, or you work odd hours, or you're, in a time zone in the middle of the Pacific, again, you can watch the recording. There are some sessions that are kind of, if you aren't there live, they are not recorded. But all of the content webinars the weekly content webinars that we do are all recorded. So you can watch the recording if you'd like. It's also great because you might want to go back and watch the recording. So a lot of our launchers mention, hey, I want to go back and watch that webinar from like month 1. Absolutely, you get that entire library you get access to as well. There's a question here about outcomes. Actually, 2 people almost asked it at the same time. Typically, candidates who apply to programs are extremely successful. So over 95% of launchers who apply to programs are being offered a seat in the cohort. And I want to say somewhere in the neighborhood of over 50% of launchers that end up at partner schools are also named as Forté Fellows. So typically, candidates are very successful upon completion of the launch program. And our hope is that you complete the launch program, you end up at your dream school, you're awarded scholarship, and you get to go on your MBA journey. That's absolutely our hope. But also, a lot of candidates might, just the learning that you hopefully get through this program is extremely rewarding as well. If we did not happen to get to your question, feel free to reach out to us at premba@fortefoundation.org. Happy to answer your questions there. As I said, my colleague Sarah will be doing that application overview next week if you want to catch that session. But I want to thank you all for being here. I know it was a quick 30 minutes for us to run through that, but I thank you for the great questions. And I also want to thank you for your interest in the launch program, and certainly we hope to see your application soon. So thanks everybody, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their evening or morning, depending on where you are in the world.